So typically, the coffee machines have been known to come out of Italy, and that's what was signified as quality, and there was so much technology and variation between different brands. But now we know that China is definitely getting in the game of making coffee machines and coffee equipment and accessories. And we've got the stand, Wendougee here, and we want to show you a little bit more about what they're doing, look at the technology, and just see some comparison between what China's producing versus the Italian products. So come on in and let's have a look. So there's definitely a full complete solution for the commercial application. We have a grinder, a coffee machine, and also milk systems. So they're covering all technologies right now. With the grinders, they do have the sync technology, which allows them to communicate with the coffee machine by having a recipe. And that recipe, if it's not achieved through the coffee machine, it will go back and adjust the grind, actually the burrs, to make sure that increasing or decreasing the distances there, so coarse or fine, to replicate the recipe that was required in the group head. It is weight-based delivery as well into the portafilter from the grinder. And then when you're in this software, it isn't buttons, it's technology. So it can be updated, it can be changed, but essentially you can see the mills and the time and the temperature for each individual group. You can have pressure profiling and also flow control. So it's definitely a complete package from Wendougee here, but they have also back translated that into the home market. So I'll show you what's just behind us. So there's two options in the entry-level home market. Now these machines are digitally controlled. So this one here is a vibration pump, and then this one here has two vibration pumps. So this one has flow control and pressure control, where this one only has pressure control. Now these both have the ability to go back with the single dose grinder and adjust the grind. So pretty smart tech in entry-level grinders. The grinders themselves are very neat, tidy, small, and they seem to be pretty easy to use. So this will also sync with any of the range. So it's very cool to have a grinder that will run across commercial and domestic. So it's all about data and understanding information. The tablets are adapted to any of the machines. They don't come with the actual coffee machine, but they can be purchased. But essentially you can control flow very easily. You can record the profile that's happening. You can replay that profile. You can adjust it, save it, and you can even share it by the cloud with your mates. So if you've got a favorite Colombian coffee that you know is light roasted, you can save that profile, and then a month's time when you buy it again, the grinder's gonna know the setting and the machine's gonna know the profile. So that's pretty cool tech. So here I have the first home range that they brought out, which essentially is the dual boiler. And then they went back and made the other one because they realized maybe a little bit of the higher price point. But this is dual boilers, again, with all the flow and pressure controls that you would imagine. So much data in here. You can see real-time boiler temperatures, real-time pressure for the coffee puck, but also a variation of that pressure profiling that you're gonna have. They're pretty simple and easy to use. You've got your steam. This is the cool lever to start your brew, or you can actually use the iPad or digital screen to start and stop your profiles as well. Midway through any of these profiles, you can actually play with anything, temperature, pressure, flow, whatever you like. So you can, on the go, change a recipe and then save it, which is pretty cool. So the front boiler is a saturated group, and so it doesn't get any cold shock by introducing new cold water. There is a heat exchange that is coming from the rear boiler. So it passes through, it has a hotter water, so that then it can keep feeding that front boiler to whatever temperature that you choose, and that will make sure that you can have heaps of volume and not worry about it crashing with all the cold water input. Now I know what everyone's thinking, where does the quality come from? Are there any constraints or issues? Well, when we look in here in the machines, we're seeing copper piping, we're seeing solenoids that we see from Italy, we're seeing the same kind of pumps. So there is really not a big difference that we can see. Obviously the manufacturing out of China that's going to make it a little bit cheaper. Maybe some of the sourcing, well, essentially a lot of other manufacturers out of Italy are actually sourcing a lot of parts from China. So there's a lot of pros and cons there. Is this going to last? Is it going to be something that's going to be, the future? Are they going to, see a lot more ranges or a lot more brands coming out of China to compete with the Italian products? I don't know. I'd love to know what you're thinking right now. Pop a comment down below. I'd love to see what you think about these high-spec, very digital style machines coming out of China. So I haven't tried making a coffee on one of these machines before. I'm going to give it a go. The scale came up a bit unique. I don't know if that's 20 grams, but I think it is. So let's see what we've got here. We'll might do this. Pop the dosing pot in. It looks like we can vary the actual speed of the motor on this grinder, the single dose, which is kind of cool. I'm going to go as high as I can because I think that's actually a better option. We go right up to 1000 RPM. Pop the lid on that one. Oh, okay. Smells and looks pretty good. Get the bomber. And let's see our brews. Let's have a look. To the profile. So that was a low pre-infusion right up to full pressure there, 9 bar, and just continuing that all the way through. And a bit hard for me to understand the temperatures that are going on there. I can't quite read the language, but there we go, there's an extraction. Oh, it's hot. Oh, that is really bright. Really citrusy. Oh, super, super intense. That's a real light, funky coffee there. But anyway, seems to work pretty well. I'm sure with dialing it in, having a bit more of a play, and using all that full control of pressure, temperature, flow, you can make the perfect cup of coffee. So come on, let's make a coffee on the Wendougee grinder and machine. There's some pretty cool, interesting things here. We've got their grinder, which is a weight-based. Have a look at the grind quality that's coming out there. It's quick, it's fast, it's light and fluffy. It also has the ability to connect with the coffee machine. So the recipe that's combined right now between these two, if it doesn't get the right recipe, it will actually go back and change the grind. The setting will either go coarser or finer to achieve the recipe. So we'll pop this in. We'll grab a cup under. Now these are a saturated group head, so we can change the temperature being applied to the coffee puck. You've got obviously the rear boiler and flow control. Don't ask me how to use it, but there's a lot of tech going on in here. You can also have your iPad connected here for further controls if you needed to. One thing that I think is pretty cool, just something a bit different. The steamers are on the side here like this, and they've actually got a cutout in the drip tray to hold the steam, which is pretty smart because usually that just goes everywhere. So that's something I'm quite impressed with. We've got our Cool Touch wands and little Cool Touch tips. Seems to be pretty good pressure. Probably a little bit slower than I'm used to, I'll be honest. All right, we're there, we got it. That's pretty cool. I do like that feature. It's probably the smartest feature on a commercial machine I've seen in a long time. All right, anyway, we've ended up with some pretty silky milk there. Tap out some bubbles. We've got our espresso shot. Let's see what we can pour out here. A little bit thin on the milk. I have struggled with the Italian milk. A lot of it's UHT, so don't hold that against me. But how's it taste? Yeah, look, it's rich, it's creamy. The UHT flavour of milk is just powering through every milk coffee here in Italy. But look, that is pretty impressive. I must admit, something coming out of China to have so much tech, pretty easy and intuitive to use. This is the first time I've actually used this whole setup. So there you go. Someone like me can get on, make a coffee, and maybe that's something you might need in your cafe. Well, there you go. That's some pretty interesting stuff coming out of China with the Wendougee brand, which means temperature. So what do you think? Do you think that's better than something coming out of Italy? Is it something you'd go for? Leave a comment down below. Love to hear what your thoughts are on that one. Thanks very much for watching. Hope these reviews have helped you know what's coming up new from the coffee industry. Thanks very much. Catch you next time.